At least you get in the fights. At least you get in the fights. At least you get in the fights.
I put belt to ass, and you can see that's what I do.
The Untouchable, True School Sports Empire, and y'all know the rest now, man. Listen, this is going to be a two-parter because I wanted to get this video done last night. I didn't get a chance to, so I'm going to talk about Edgar Berlanga and his fight and what's next for him, and then the other part will be Emma Williams and Patrice Boney, so, just check the timestamps. But listen, we'll start Edgar Berlanga. I can't even remember the guy's name he fought last night, but he fought this Puerto Rican dude who had barely fought over the last 4 years. Somehow Matchroom Boxing and the matchmakers and the fine folks there, they dug this guy up out of nowhere. Very, very despicable matchmaking from Matchroom. Really, really petty stuff from them. Like, I'm going to be honest. It's really petty from them. Like, Edgar didn't want to sign an extension with them, so you make a fight that deliberately does nothing for him, even if he wins, and makes him look bad in the process because you got a guy with a gut and a beer belly and all these kind of things. And Edgar just hit him one time, and he just fell over. So there's not much to make in an actual fight from last night with Edgar Berlanga. But what I will say is this, because while Matchroom is wrong for how they handled everything, and Edgar is going to probably leave them, I got to kind of push back on Edgar a little bit. Edgar Berlanga is a great example of what I see in boxing because, being around the sport now for almost 10 years in the media, being in training camps, being around the gyms all over the world, you get exposed to a lot of things. And there's always a lot of talk in boxing about how promoters are bad to fighters, and that does happen, and how promoters are disloyal to fighters, and that definitely happens as well. But man, I'll tell you what, fighters can be just as bad as promoters sometimes, honestly. Because Edgar Berlanga, I remember when he first signed with Matchroom, he was talking about how great Eddie Hearn was, and how Eddie Hearn changed his life, and this, that, and the third. Eddie Hearn over-delivered for Edgar. He got him a fight a fight and a payday he really didn't deserve against Canelo. And if we're just being honest about it, Edgar got the fight because he was Puerto Rican. That's literally the only reason he got the fight. He didn't get the fight because he was one of the best. He didn't get the fight because he earned it through his merit and his skills. He got the fight because he talks a lot of shit, and he just happened to be Puerto Rican. And boxing is very lazy at marketing and promotion, so they can always do Puerto Rico versus Mexico. That's why he got the fight. That's the God's honest truth. Now, in my opinion, his Matchroom stint, let me see if I'm right. Edgar, since he's been an Eddie Hearn fighter, has fought Patrick McCroy, Canelo, and the dude he fought last night. So, I might have missed a fight, but that's not really an impressive run. He hasn't really shown in that span of time that he's an upper echelon fighter or that he's gotten better. So there's still a lot of question marks at Edgar. And truth be told, I think Edgar, just objectively speaking, and I like Edgar, but I think he may be more of he's an attraction. Like, he can sell tickets, he's marketable, he can talk. But I don't know, and I don't think, based on what I've been seeing from Edgar, that he's, some sort of upper echelon fighter. I don't think that. I wanted to think that he was back in the day when he had the first round knockout streak, but just time has been the best teacher to me that he's when a guy can take his punches, Edgar does not have enough tools in the toolbox. His bag ain't deep enough yet. And it may never be deep enough, really, to beat these elite guys. So there's a lot to prove. I do agree with Edgar that Eddie Hearn should have moved the heavens and the earth to get the William Skull fight, because I do think that was Edgar's best bet at becoming a world champion. And I think the confidence that it would have given Edgar becoming a champion against William Skull, that might have actually changed the trajectory of his career from a mental standpoint. So I could look at both sides, and I could be objective. I feel like Edgar is being an entitled brat and isn't appreciating what Eddie Hearn and Matchroom have done for him. But at the same time, I also think that Matchroom did drop the ball by not getting the William Skull fight, and I think Matchroom has dropped the ball by not delivering certain fights, because they got Diego Pacheco, who's also a Matchroom fighter, and they don't want to do that fight because they I don't know why they don't, but they don't want to do it. But it should be an easier fight to do than they're making it out to be, and it's not happening. So, as far as Edgar, and this will be the last thing I say in this last minute before I move on to Emma Williams and Patrice Boney. There really only is one move for Edgar Berlanga. Only one move and one move only. And that move is quite simply to fight Caleb Plant. I think, he's called out Charlo, he's called out Munguia, he called out Plant, right? Munguia got his ass waxed by Bruno Soros. And even if he wins the rematch, they need to do a trilogy. So, because he need to prove that he's definitively better than the Frenchman that can't punch at middleweight, that they moved up and tried to cherry pick. You got to prove that, right? So, he should be tied up. And that fight doesn't mean what it used to, because once Bruno Soros, absolutely exposed Jaime Munguia, then, that fight lost its luster. So, he got to rebuild as far as I'm concerned. Then you got Charlo, who hasn't even been boxing. He's not even mentally fit to box. So that fight don't make no sense either. So for me, the one fight that makes the most sense for Edgar is the Plant fight. A lot of storylines, a lot of animosity, a lot of build-up. And if you know you got to fight, if you know you have to go to PBC to do that fight, then you know what the play is from Edgar. Edgar should be going to PBC and signing with Al Haymon to do that fight. And truth be told, I think Edgar would do very well on the PBC platform. Let's just call a spade, and let's call it for what it is. Edgar is he's a hood dude from the Bronx. He's a hood dude from Brooklyn, and he's a very urban guy. And a lot of the urban fighters do very well on PBC. And I think he's actually a fighter that I feel was made for PBC. So I think he'll do well. I think he'll be profitable for them. I think there's value in Edgar, especially on the platform that PBC offers. And I think the Caleb Plant fight is the most valuable and attractive option he has available to him in his career. And I'll tell you this, that's also the fight, money-wise, clout-wise, superstar. Just when we talk about the boxing, it's the fight that I think could get him what he's looking for the most, which is legitimacy, credibility, and the utmost respect in boxing. Because Caleb Plant, former IBF champion, been in there with the best one, been in there with Benavidez, been in there with Canelo. Delivered big-time knockouts to a guy like Darrell. That was a knockout of the year candidate. So Caleb Plant has a lot of value as a fighter. Just had a really fun fight with Trevor McCumbee. So I think that's the route he needs to go. And if he doesn't go make that move, because he doesn't want to be with Eddie Hearn. He's expressed that much. If he doesn't go make that move, then I don't want to hear anything about what isn't or isn't happening in his career. You made it very know what you want to do. So make the move and go to Al Haymon, go to PBC, and go get that Caleb Plant fight. Even if it's a one-fight deal, go make the correct move. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you guys click right over here.
Keep watching my boy BT put on the best interviews out here.